This past weekend was the first of two preview weekends for the new game Moonbreaker, a partnership between the team behind Subnautica as well as acclaimed author Brandon Sanderson, working on designing the world and characters for the game. Now, you still can join in. They are basically creating a stress test preview weekend that anyone can join in on through Steam through this next weekend. And then the game is set to be released into early access on September 29th. Now, the game was very interesting. It had absolutely beautiful looks to it, but did very much feel like it was still in that early access stage. There is a lot to be explored in the menus and an extensive, really cool feature, which I don't think we've really seen in too many other games. But from what I was able to play in the first weekend, my absolute favorite feature has to be the miniature painting feature that's in the game. You actually get to go in and completely custom paint your own miniatures. Now, one of the things that I loved the most about this was the ability that it talked about in one of the little kind of tutorial walkthrough videos on the painting is that you can actually hold down the shift when you are over a certain area, and by brushing over that area, it will only paint the certain area that you're actually looking for. So if there is an armor piece over an arm or a leg, but you actually only want to paint kind of the leg part underneath that piece of armor, it absolutely will do that for you. Now, I am someone who is brand new to miniature painting. I've looked into it before, but the amount of time put into it and just the details and layering and different aspects of painting and different layers that you have to do, all of that seems very overwhelming for someone like me. So this feature I thought was absolutely amazing to actually try out and get to paint and then click undo if I mess something up or accidentally painted over something, where I wouldn't necessarily be able to do all of those same features if I were painting a miniature in real life. So I spent quite a bit of time painting just one miniature, but absolutely loved it and enjoyed that feature very much. Now, these custom paint jobs that you do with the miniatures, you absolutely can use those painted miniatures in game, which is just fantastic. So when you actually jump into a game, this is a very strategy type of game. Reminded me very much of like the XCOM type games. There are, specific hexes on the board. There's things on the board that can create cover. You have to kind of look at ranged abilities and see what the possible damage is. There's a lot of strategy, a lot of abilities. But one thing that was also very interesting for me while I was playing this as well is not only is it focused on the miniatures and this kind of strategy type of the game, but it also adds a few elements that reminded me of things like teamfight tactics or any other kind of auto battler where you kind of gain resources throughout the game and add a crew. Now, you go into the game with a specific kind of crew built ahead of time, but throughout the game, as you build up the resources, you get to add those crew members to the board to help aid your captain in the fight against the enemy army. Now, it sounds a little overwhelming, but it actually was pretty interesting. Again, this is in early access, so the development team is taking a ton of feedback through Discord, through social media, and other means that they have posted. But if you want to try out the game, check it out. Sign up for the next preview weekend, which is happening September 16th through the 18th of 2022. Check that out before it launches here into early access on September 29th. But very interesting concept. Again, everything looks really beautiful. Now, I'm really interested to see what else they do with it. There's a lot planned. If you check out the Steam page and kind of read some of the info about early access, it does sound like they have a lot planned in terms of seasons to go through. There is a little bit of information about that in that section, the seasons, but it does seem like they're going to be doing a lot of updates, adding units, adding captains and crew, and all sorts of miniatures and rewards that you can earn throughout those seasons. And by playing, you can play versus the AI or other people. So there is that aspect as well. And it does seem like there's going to be some co-op stuff potentially, but it doesn't seem like there's a ton of information on that quite yet. But it absolutely was a very interesting game, very unique in terms of kind of what it does. And it seems like it mashes quite a few things together. But if you end up trying it out, or if this is something you've been interested in, again, check it out. I'll be trying to play some more as well in the next preview weekend before it launches into that early access on the 29th. But if you join in, let me know below. I would love to hear what you think of the game. If you're trying it, do you have experience with miniatures? And maybe you can do a little bit better of a paint job than I did. Or have you tried other strategy games that are maybe similar to this or have similarities? I'd love to hear if you could let me know in those comments below. But otherwise, thank you so much for checking out this video, and I'll see you in the reaches.